it's Liz Yuille from Old Stables Crafts. Thank you for joining me again today. Today I am part of the One Stamp at a Time hop. So welcome if you have joined from one of the other people on the hop. Our theme is purses, poppies and Paris. So I have got this little handbag slash purse, which I've used the Poppy DSP for this. So let me just find that in our lovely new catalogue. So it's the Peaceful Poppies Designer Series paper. I have used a retired ribbon for the handle. This was the black scalloped ribbon from the Halloween suite in the Autumn Winter catalogue. You could switch that out for the black satin ribbon, but I thought that was quite a nice ribbon to use. So if you've got some of that left, obviously that would be great. And then this ribbon is the Whisper White crinkle ribbon, and I will show you how I've managed to get it to this colour. It's not a difficult thing, but I will show you that. So Peaceful Poppies Suite starts on page 24 in the new catalogue, the new mini catalogue. Do remember, if you are in the UK and you don't have one of these yet and you don't work with another demonstrator, then please go over to my website, and there's a link below, and fill in the catalogue request form, which is surprisingly on the catalogue tab of my website. So I've also used the Painted Poppies stamps. So I've used this long thin one and the little cluster, and then I've used these sort of splats just to fill the colour in, and these are in Rich Raspberry, and again I've got Rich Raspberry ribbon, and as I say, I will show you that in a moment. I've also used, I think all I have to do is, no, I have to go back, page 14. I'm also going to be using, for the one that I'm going to make now, the Parisian Blossoms suite, specifically the Designer Series paper and the Parisian Beauty stamp set. This is the bundle. Oh, and I forgot to dig out the ribbon. I shall whiz over and get that, but I'm using this, the Parisian Beauty stamp set. Let me get my ribbon. Got it. So, right. Okay, enough procrastination. Let's get on. This holds a nail varnish, because why not? So it holds one of my favourite nail varnish manufacturers' nail varnishes. So it's quite a nice little bag, and I will show you how it works. First thing I will do, however, is show you how I have coloured my crinkle ribbon. It is incredibly simple. You take your blend and you colour it. Simple as that. You do need to leave it to dry, but because this is an alcohol marker, it doesn't take terribly long, and this is very thin ribbon, so again, it doesn't take long. And the silicone mat will wipe clean once everything's dried. So the first thing I'm going to need is my scoring board and my piece of cardstock, and this is Cherry Cobbler. Because I'm using the Parisian papers, the colours in that are Cherry Cobbler, Petal Pink, so I'm just digging out one of my pieces of paper, so Cherry Cobbler and Petal Pink with Champagne Metallic and Pool Party. So I'm trying with Cherry Cobbler. Let me grab my notes so that I know where I'm scoring. With the long side at the top, you want to score at, I should say, this is 7 3/4 wide by 5.5 deep. You can get 2 out of 1 sheet of A4, or indeed out of 1 sheet of 8.5 by 11. So whether you're in North America or the rest of the world, you will be able to get 2 out of 1 sheet. So score at 2.5 inches, 3 3/4 inches, 6 1/4 inches, and 6.5, and then turn it round and score at 1 1/4 inches and 4 1/4 inches. And then what you want to do is come in from both ends. You want to come in 5/8 of an inch. So this is 1/2 inch, that's 5/8, and you want to just score down about an inch. It's not vital, that measurement, but about an inch. And then if I come and turn it round again, and you can score all the way down for this side, you're going to score down to roughly the 2 3/4 mark. And again, 5/8 of an inch down to roughly the 2 3/4 mark. We will be cutting quite a lot of this away. I say quite a lot, a bit of this away, so we're not worrying about the fact that this bit doesn't really need to be scored, but it's not part of the box. So the finished dimensions are 2.5 inches deep, 3 inches wide, and 1 1/4 inches from front to back. So a reasonable size box. And I thought, as we're doing purses, and although I have the purse dies that come in the, what's it called? I haven't got my head completely round the new catalogue yet. Best Dressed. So Best Dressed, page 54, has a set of dies that cut this bag. I haven't got the dies yet. At the point where I am recording this, I'm expecting them to arrive, but you know, life never works quite the way you want it, so they haven't arrived yet. Right, okay, so we're going to cut away straight along the score line, and this is the narrow score line, so we're cutting to the left of that, and we're cutting straight down the vertical. So we're cutting away this piece with that narrow score line, and the same again on this side. There we go. So those bits are rubbish. Now this we are going to die cut. The layering ovals, which are in the annual catalogue, you get scalloped and straight. The layering ovals you want the 4th from the largest, so large next, 3rd from the largest, and 4th from the largest. And what we're going to do is feed this that way through, and we are going to die cut, leaving as much of the flap as possible. So I'm just going to pop that through my die cutter. So bear with me, try and keep it as straight as possible, and I tend to not go the whole way, so I go as far as I think I need to go to cut the scallop. It's not completely straight, but it's not bad. Obviously with a bit more time you can make sure that it is straight. If you get sort of offended by it, then you could probably trim that off a bit, but for the sake of the video I'm going to keep going. So having done that, I'm then going to finish cutting this. So I'm going to cut into my little squares here, so up to the score line, and then wedge out. I have to say I did do a better job on the one I did quietly in my own time, but it's fine. I'm going to live with it. Okay, so those are wedged out, and then okay, so it's always easier to stick things onto a flat surface. So I'm going to bring in my designer series paper. Now fortunately this doesn't have an up or a down because everything's all over the place. The Poppies do, so just make sure that you've got everything running the right way. My paper, I've got 2 sheets or pieces cut at 2 3/4 by 2 1/4, and this is just a scrap that, so long as it is sort of the right size to fit on this flap, I think I might have to trim that bit off a bit, is fine. In fact, I think I'll have to die cut that again, because it's going to annoy the bejeebers out of me, because it's not straight. So, will that do? That should do. So I've just got another scrap, and this is the next size down. So I'm just going to very quickly die cut that. Because it is going to annoy me that it's all crooked. Oh, and of course it won't come up off the cutting mat, because why would it do that when I'm flustered? Okay, so with this, what I'm going to do is actually turn it, well, normally I would turn it over, but because it is quite off straight, I'm not going to, so I'm just going to, whoops, grab a pencil and line it up so that it's got the right sort of gap, and then just mark both sides so that it's about 1/8 of an inch away from the score line. And then with my mini cutter, I can line that up. So line up my pencil marks and cut. And then that, if I can get it out, will fit nicely on the front of my bag. So that will fit nicely there, and it's, because it's skew width, everything else will look fine, she says with her fingers firmly crossed. So, a bit of multi-purpose liquid adhesive, which is back in stock and now has no restriction on the amount we can buy. It comes in a slightly different package because we've got it from the European distributor rather than importing it from the US. But apart from that, it is the same. Now, I have noticed I've got little pencil marks still there. So for my sanity, I'm just going to take those out. And then these, again, just adhere to, don't need that piece, so let's get rid of that. I'm just going to adhere these to the large rectangles. Now, you could use snail for this. I just like a bit of wiggle room. That's going to annoy me that the Eiffel Tower is straight up if I put it the other way up. So it's going to go, I'm looking at this. That clearly needs to be running that way because this is the top. And then I think again I'll have the Eiffel Tower running up the page. The one that is most prominent will run up the page. Like that. Woo! Wiggle room. That's what wiggle room's for. There we go. Okay, so that is that. So that's all nicely stuck together. And while I'm here and while it's flat, I'm going to come into the flap with my hole punch. This is no longer available, unfortunately, but a hole punch, or you could use your take your pick tool just to get a hole in there. We will be putting a hole over here as well, but it's not very easy to get that hole in there until the box is put together. So liquid adhesive or tear and tape on here and on here. And then this is my back, so that I want, whoops, that way round, because I want the front to have the fold on it, not the cut edge. So that's that one and that one. And if you have it so that it's like this, you can make sure that everything is square, and then pop it on its side and just press with the bone folder to make sure everything is well adhered. And then some liquid adhesive on here. Just make sure that it's on the exposed edges more than anywhere else. These are the important edges because they are, as I say, exposed. and then fold those up and round, and again we'll pop the lid on that and come in with the bone folder and just press everything in place, flip it over and press everything in place. Right, now while that is drying, and before I therefore squish those in, I'm going to grab my tag, which is 2 inches by, I want to say 4, or maybe it's 4.5. 4. 2 inches by 4 inches of thick whisper white. Delightful detailed tag topper. And if you like rounded corners like I do, the trio punch will do nice rounded corners. And then I'm going to bring in a piece of scrap paper, one piece of very scrap paper, and I have got mounted up my Eiffel Tower and the script. The Eiffel Tower I'm going to stamp in cherry cobbler just to bring that in again. So I'll ink my Eiffel Tower up. Cherry cobbler is always a difficult one to see on red rubber because it's almost the same colour when it's on the red rubber. And I'm just coming in a wee bit and up, and there is our nice Eiffel Tower. Let's close my cherry cobbler before I put something like my fist in it. And then petal pink, I'm going to ink up my script, which does actually read, but I'm going to just come straight across and just fill that space, and I might do that again. This is very much a sort of fill it in as much as you want. Don't worry about it if you don't want to. On the original I just did the poppies, but on this I think I will fill it in completely because it's more subtle. So, yeah, so this was what I did with the original. I just did the poppies a wee bit. Right, okay, so that's those bits done. So we can go back to our box, which should now be dry, or certainly dry enough for what we need it to do. So I'm going to push in along those score lines that we put in, and then flip over and grab myself a pencil and just put a little pencil mark there, and then come in with my hole punch again and punch that, and then with my petal pink ribbon, which is gorgeous, I'm just going to cut a bit. It's one of those, you know, arbitrary bits, and tie this one. Actually might, the last one I did with tying the loop into a knot, because this is a thicker ribbon, I think I'll be able to get away with that, because what we want is a knot that is too big to go through the hole. So with the crinkle ribbon I needed something larger, so I did a double knot in the loop, but this should be large enough to stop itself. Yeah, so the knot, can you see in there? That knot is going to stop the ribbon going through. So let me grab it doesn't go, but another nail varnish, pop that in. And then the ribbon, you want about 10 inches or thereabouts, which is kind of that long. And then mini glue dots. I've got a new roll, so I've only just put my piece of baker's twine on. So it's a little bit stiff at the moment, but it's fine. So I want one glue dot to go on there. One to go on there, whoops, to go on, wants to stick to my, okay, won't be using that glue dot, it's determinedly sticking to my take-a-pick. That's better. And then I want a glue dot for each of the ends, just so that we are absolutely certain that the ribbon will stay in place. So that's one. And another one. And then we can pop that there, stick it to that glue dot, bring it round, marry up the ends and stick it to that glue dot, and then pop the ends of your other pieces of ribbon through the hole. And pull those tight, and then simply tie these into a bow. And of course I'm all thumbs and no fingers. And you just want a nice little bow. It may be easier if you have difficulty with bows, if you're bow challenged, like apparently I am today. Cut your piece of ribbon slightly longer, and then just trim your ends, comme ça. And then another piece of ribbon, just for your tag. And again, I'm going to fold that in half, pop it through the hole and loop it through. And there you have your tag and your gift, with our theme of poppies, purses and Paris. I hope you enjoyed that. Gosh, that was a long video. I apologise. Do remember to go over to my blog, which is linked below, and have a look at the close-up photos, and also have a look at the hop. So there'll be links to all the other people taking part in the hop over there. I encourage you to go and have a look. Some of the people that are taking part, I know will have done, well, everyone who's taking part will have done amazing projects. Some I know better than others, so I know their work more than others. Anyway, before I dig a bigger hole for myself, thank you very much indeed for watching. If you've enjoyed that, please give it a thumbs up. If this is your first visit, please hit subscribe. And if you need any of the products I've used, they are linked below and also on my blog. I work in the UK for sales, so if you're in the UK, that would be lovely. It would be your way of giving back for the free tutorials that I give. Thank you very much indeed, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye!